G'day guys, just a quick look at these first 4 races at Canterbury. Similar to Saturday, I think this works out okay where I can send the first 4 out so you get your early quarters, that sort of thing, and I can get a look at the track, especially when this rain's coming, but I'll send out the last 4 races, after probably the first, if not the second race at the latest. The race is not too bad to get a look at the track, but it should be pretty fair. We've got a 3 metre rail. Usually, the fence is good there at Canterbury, and expecting similar. I wouldn't imagine it'll be down the outside fence or anything crazy from the 3 metre rail. Possibly rain during the day, you may be able to make ground a little bit more. So, running line might be okay more than it normally is, but certainly would like to get a look at the track. Not big fields overall, so tempo and a bit of luck in running certainly always goes a long way at Canterbury. So race 1, quite an interesting race. I didn't mind the trials of Libertar and Zoo Tiger especially here. Thought Zoo Tiger's trialled up really well. My query is that it's had 2 short trials, so an 8:10. Did get entered straight away for a 1200 metre race at Canterbury off the 810 metre trial, then was sent back to the trials and put in a 740. So that's an interesting sign for me that the stable obviously not concerned with running it over 1200. Maybe they were off the 1 trial, and that's why they've sent it back, considering they've scratched it from a meeting that was a heavy 10 anyhow, so they're probably concerned about that, but then sent it back for a top-up trial. Now 1200, gate 1. The horse has got enough speed to hold the back of who looks like the Sweet Baby Boom will lead, and can certainly run a race from that position. I thought Libertar's got enough speed to hold a spot too, probably in the first 4, and just liked how strong it was there the other day. Another horse, so he's had a 780, then a 1000 metre trial, also had a 900 and a 1000 metre trial just back in November, so not a long break between. Had the 4 trials, 2-2. This stable can get them ready. There's a horse called Czar yesterday that won at Hawkesbury off similar, very strong through the line. Certainly nowhere near as wet there as it will be here, but should get a nice run and looks to have good ability. The horse I'm probably looking to risk is Chipper, who's had a couple of starts, and it is risky to risk it because it's had that bit of race fitness, and I do like the horse. Just thought, it did have a tough run the other day, but not certain that it's a this time in horse. Don't know if it's really going to find its legs until next time in, and while it's dangerous here, I think it's short enough. Sweet Baby Boom also, it did work quite hard to get the front the other day, and it was quite a solid race, so I'm not sacking it completely, especially if it's allowed to dictate in front here, but probably needs to. Certainly will improve with that run under its belt, and 27 days between runs is a little query, but always this stable, you just expect them to get fitter and stronger as their preparations go on. And as I said, like this horse only had 2 trials, so certainly more improvement in it than maybe sort of a horse like Libertar's had a few preparations and thing to ground it. So this horse should have some good upside and can't knock it. The horse that I thought was a bit short was Zoo Gotcha. Just think it's a bit of James McDonald effect. Does draw nicely, but I didn't think its trials were anywhere near as strong to the eye as Zoo Tiger and Libertar to a smaller degree. This horse I would like to see go around today. If there is significant money for it late, always take it seriously from this stable, especially when they've not done a lot to the eye. You've got to take market moves late more seriously. So that's that. Race 2 Canterbury. This race I thought was just nigh on impossible, so I'll go through from the top just to go through them so you've got my idea. Barrichello had 3 runs back in. First up run was its best run. The last 2 runs have only been fair. Hasn't reached its heights of its last preparation, and never stretched past sort of went to 1350 and ran okay off a softish tempo at Wyong last time in. I think 1550 is just a stab at the title. Hasn't done anything, through the line. It's run okay, don't get me wrong, through the line its last few runs, but nothing to say that it's going to eat up 1550. Does draw soft, will it be ridden a bit more closely, and certainly James McDonald back aboard. As I said, he sort of rode it first up when it put in its best run this preparation. Hard to work it out. Naval Seal went back towards the inside there the other day, which was not the place to be. Stablemate came down the middle and won the race quite nicely. Its first start was okay. We've got nothing really come out of that race. A country winner, Unwritten, that has run okay since as well, but both at country level. And then, nothing super has come out of the race yet. Not that the winner's run since, but and they were dominant over the rest. Came out and ran okay the other day. Another one, sort of 14-13 up to 15-50. That can help it, and certainly draws a little tricky, but should roll forward from the gate with Bowman going aboard. So there's a few things in its favour, a few queries for Navy SEAL. Stormy Legend had the 4 runs in, 43 days between runs with no trial is the query for it. The run behind sort of Russian Ruble, even the run behind Gorshin was okay, and then the run last start behind Sandstock, all good enough to be in the finish here, but 43 days off no trial is a query, and going onto a heavy track for the first time, did see a soft track its first start and then was quickly spelled. So again, things positive and negative for Stormy Legend. By 9, interesting horse, thought it's very one-paced and has run into 2 slow tempos, so it can improve off that with a stronger tempo. Gets to a mile, which looks off 15.50, which looks suitable. Does draw well. Reggie, you can make your own mind up about, but does look a horse that does look dangerous in a race like this, just because it does look to have improvement in it, getting up to 15.50, and hasn't seen an even to solid tempo yet, which it may not again here, to be fair. This horse is interesting, not a single bid, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trials before it made it to the races. 2 trials this time in over 1,050, went to the races over 1,400, led, went quite steady there and did knock up late and get a little bit lost in the straight. So blinkers go on, that's an interesting one. Scratched twice since, 36 days between runs, another query, and rising from 14 to 15.50 with the blinkers going on. So it's really difficult to work this horse out, but I think it does have ability, just a matter of whether you can extract that. But again, it's hard to say that a horse is going to improve significantly after having 8 barrier trials. Certainly, 1 or 2 first preparation, you'd expect that horse to take sort of leaps and bounds potentially of improvement from racing and getting used to it all. But now a horse that's had 8 trials, going to the races is still under race pressure, very different. Could switch a horse on. Blinkers can certainly do that as well. So it's scared of the horse, especially in a race with very limited speed. It should go straight to the front, and if it improves, it can certainly run a race. A Few Choice Words was basically dragged out of the race there last time, and the first start was just a complete forgive. Did run the fastest last 200 of the day there, off a very slow tempo. The other day, similar, just sort of peaked a little bit late in comparison to the first up run, but still good, and really given no winning chance whatsoever. What does it do from gate 1? I'm not really sure. If it can hold a position, it can certainly improve significantly. A horse that's a very big query runner in this race for mine, A Few Choice Words. Could easily, put it on top on spec. Just if you put it into a third defence position with a more aggressive ride. But again, we're getting 4 scratching since it was last seen. Whether they've been trying to dodge wet tracks and they give up now, I'm not sure. But it's sort of been scratched from wide gates, and then last start an inside draw on a drier track in an easier race. So I'm not sure what the plan is here or what they're trying to achieve. I'm assuming a 3-year-old filly. They're trying to get a city win in a maiden out of the way and try and place her as well as they can to do so, and that's probably why they've run into this race today. Galactic Angel's probably the other one with a good winning chance, but it's just a bit of a nightmare horse. I'm just reading into it that I think, anyone could see that last start something weird went on there where the jockey sat up when it should have run second, but still would have been cleanly beaten by Lukey Luke, who is a good horse, come out and won yesterday, 1.9 lengths behind California Lynx. Navy SEAL ties in with Navy SEAL, who is short in the betting here, and I think Ellen Hennessy aboard. See, the map's a bit scary. You've got Not a Single Bid, who led its first start, and you've got Galactic Angel out here, who's probably not got huge speed, but I imagine that the hard fit with the blinkers applied, they may jam her here, and you could see a change of tactics on the card for Galactic Angel, and that would put her into the race because they are a pretty one-pace types, chasing her, and she could give a sight if you put her on speed here. Race 3, sorry I spent so much time on that. A little bit smaller field. So again, here I think the main query is the battle for the front. So I would expect Too Much Lippy to hold out the horses drawn wider. Moshed Up may have a go for the front, just because he's race fit, I would. But Too Much Lippy's probably favourite to hold the front. Miss Ciccone certainly has enough speed to worry it if they want to jam her out. She's hard fit, she's back in distance. That's what I'd be doing if it was my horse. What will they do? I'm not sure, but it should cross Rinova. And the thing I want to get to a point is here that Too Much Lippy crosses, Miss Ciccone crosses Rinova. It's 3 back, possibly even 4 back the fence. Puts it in a horrible position and also makes it harder for all these shorts to draw wide. If Too Much Lippy, sorry, if Miss Ciccone kicks up under Too Much Lippy, causes problems for the outside runners, but gives Rinova the chance to sort of kick up on the back of the leader potentially. So it could go from 3 or 4 back to fence to behind the leader simply by what happens between Miss Ciccone and Too Much Lippy. So it's very important what's happening to tactics here. I think Too Much Lippy will be fit enough to run well first up. I think it's a good enough horse to run well first up. I think Miss Ciccone can run a race from behind the leader or leading. If it leads, it brings in horses like Darilina Bell because there should be more pressure, and certainly Rinova into the race. Yeah, so there we go. Race 4. This is another tactical race. So you've got Deep Romance, One Paced Horse, and Omni Man, who I'm sure is a faster horse. Whether Deep Romance wants to try and press like it did last start, hold the front, because it is a very one-pace type, and it would be to its advantage to lead. I think that would be the play either way, whether it leads or not, because it softens up Omni Man and would allow Deep Romance to get off the fence and sit outside the leader, most likely. If not, hold the fence, Omni Man sits outside it, and they control the tempo. The horses I want to find, I really like this horse, Vivid Flash, last start, and it was disappointing, there's no doubt about that. I just want to forgive it, just thought it was given a pretty negative ride. Show the replay just because it's worthwhile.
Stand by for action.
It's not an automatic forgive, so it's in the corded white and blue royal blue caps. Is it? I'm colourblind purple on the inside here with the white and blue purple or whatever it is hoops. So it just sort of looks like it's going to find a nice spot and then just continually get sort of checked out of its positions without losing significant amount of ground at any stage, and sort of ends up drifting back into an ugly position and in tight quarters. Gets off the bit early, which I don't really like the look of. Sort of half gets checked there. Now on the heels of its stablemate and in tight quarters. Again, sort of doesn't look comfortable. Comes back to the inside. Doesn't finish off like a horse that was a certainty beaten or anything like that. But, just has the feel of a horse that never was really comfortable in the run and can improve with a better run in transit. Whether it gets that here or not, as I sort of showed with this map, is quite difficult to work out. You've got a couple of horses drawn wide, stablemate Aramore, who should press forward, and then you've got horses that want to hold position. So does Sabrenko end up back on the fence here? I would say so, behind Deep Romance, which allows California Surreal to sit in. I would be trying to get in front of it if I was Vivid Flash, and then the horses come on the outside. So if Vivid Flash sits sort of 4th, 5th, 6th, the outside, I'd expect it to run well here, or with the benefit of forgiving that last run. It's the horse that I think has the most substance to it, going off the form prior to last run. So if it's gone off, whether during this wet weather and everything, that's the query, and it's very hard to tell. But I think Deep Romance can run well from an on-pace position. I think Aramore can run well, and I think California Surreal can run well. And this battle early of these 3 horses, who finds the best positions in run, can certainly dictate a lot at the end of the race. So I think they're the 3. And I want to be against Sabrenko. I think it's going to be backing on the inside and need all sorts of luck. And I think Omni Man's a risk too, just because it's popped last start, and I just think the horse was very well placed first and second up, and up to this grade, it's not going to be easy for the horse this time in. Just it has a few issues. So for me, it's Vivid Flash on top of Aramore and California Surreal in race 4. I'll come back with more soon. Cheers.